What's up, everybody? BlueTruth, episode 19, powered by the Sports Box. Wishing that we were getting together under better circumstances, but here we are at the end of the 2021-2022 season, and we will start tonight with the end of the run for the 2021-2022 New York Rangers. They are dead, and long live the 2021-2022 New York Rangers. Rangers losing 6 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Rangers jumped out to a 2-0 series lead and a 2-0 lead in Game 3, and then Tampa reminded you why they have not lost a playoff series in their last 11 and why they are now 4 wins away from a third consecutive Stanley Cup. Tonight is about closing the book on the 2021-22 Rangers. We're not going to get into next year's roster tonight or the draft or free agency. You know, we have all summer for that. You know, the draft's actually, I think, about 3 weeks away, and free agency is, a few days after that. So it is coming quickly, but still, the shortest off seasons are the longest off seasons. Tonight is about looking back at what we all just went through. And I'll be posting a link in the comments. If you're watching on the BlueTruth page, I just posted that there. Got a bit of an open mic. If you'd like to join in, take a few minutes to kind of share your thoughts, you're very, very encouraged to do so, for sure. But now really, we look back, what a crazy run this was, now that it's over and we've had a few days to start the process of getting over it. And because if you're over it already, I don't know how much it meant to you to begin with, but I'm not over it. I hope you're not over it either, frankly. 1 second here. So Henry and Dick is going to join the show a little bit later. Link is in the comments on BT. Okay. Sorry about that. Frankie. Love you, bud. But now that it's over, and we look back, it's crazy how many times they got off the mat and got up and kept fighting and found a way. And this run was like you didn't feel comfortable at any point until the third round when they found themselves weirdly with a series lead. And maybe they just didn't know how to keep it going at that point, I love this team. I said in my commercial that still runs on MSG in my man cave that every third thought in my mind is about the team and I can't turn it off. And that is as true today as it ever was. And I know that I'm not the only one. I know you all feel the same to some extent. I mean, I'm a little special, right? So it's not maybe the same for you, but it rings true to us all. We are Rangers fans. This is how it is and how it has to be. But, this is why talking this through with you guys and the end, sad end, it's cathartic for me. One thing I always say, and I always will say, because it's true, is that one team wins. Only one team wins. This game is played to raise a big, huge silver cup at the end and have a parade and hang a banner. And that is what it's all about. And these last few years, when the Rangers were in the middle of this rebuild and they weren't making the playoffs and they had high draft picks, I said, and it's true, there was only one team that would win. So when those Islanders found their way by dark magic or smoke and mirrors into this round twice in a row, and we said, hey, pump those brakes. You didn't win a damn thing yet. Shut your mouths. Well, neither did we. So for all the wild moments, the highs and lows of this run, at the end, they did not win. Tampa Bay or Colorado in 2 weeks' time will have won. And one of them will lose as well. And I've been known to say that losing is losing. Losing later is still losing. And teams who lose earlier are rewarded for those losses with higher draft picks. That's what the Rangers were these last few years. And that losing is productive. The problem is that people confuse productivity with success. The Devils, for example, getting the second overall pick in the draft this year is surely not successful by any measure, but it is productive, the same way it was when the Rangers got the second overall pick and took Kakko and Lafreniere with the first pick the year after. That pick will help that team in some way. So from a pure value standpoint, as we sit here today, the Rangers walked away from this year with nothing in their hands. That's an undeniable fact. It is what it is. You wouldn't take it any other way, but we're frankly looking for that silver lining now. We're looking for the good that we can pull out of this experience that we all went through. And of course, there's good to be pulled from it, but it's not a quantifiable. It's an intangible. So again, I said before the season, this team would grow a lot this year. And it has. It absolutely has. And we have a long time this summer to talk about all of that. But I want to go and just play a quick clip here from the BlueTruth season preview back on September 30th. We were all talking about, how far could the Rangers realistically go, and if they were a playoff team, etc. And here's about a minute clip of what I had to say that night. The question is, how far can they go? So again, I'm not going to sit here and say, we're going to win the whole thing. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is this is the year they go from outside of playoffs to in. Next year, launch pad. Pending the salary cap, pending everything else. Next year is when the rocket ship takes off, but this year is a transition into the playoffs. And given the format, if they end up in the top 3 in the division, I don't see a reason why, not that they will, but that they can't get to the third round. Because I think that they can beat any team in this division in a 7-game series. Now, when you get into the other side and you got to play a Tampa or a Boston or maybe Toronto, who can't get out of their own way, those are better teams than you. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're not. So I think it would be asking a lot to get out of the conference, given how deep that other division is, how good Tampa still is, how good Boston still is, and Toronto maybe one day will figure it out. Very talented team. But when you're telling me that you're in a playoff quadrant with, the Caps or the Penguins, and the Rangers can beat those teams. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying they can. So how far can they go? They can go to the conference finals if things really break well further than that. I can't begin to tell you how I wish that I was wrong about that right now, because the real truth is, you look back on it and it's very easy to say, yeah, they'll get to the third round and they'll lose and whatever. When you're 82 regular season games and 2 playoff rounds away from that third round where you think they're going to get to and lose. It's very easy to say that when you're that detached from the reality of it. Hockey specifically, of all the major sports, and why for many of us it's our number one, maybe even our one and only in some cases, is such an emotional roller coaster. Baseball for sure, and football for the most part, only one team can score at any given time. In basketball, they just keep back and forth. It devalues the scoring. It's 100 to 100, whatever. Hockey just screws with your emotions unlike anything else. And that's why you've heard me say that the playoffs are nothing but stress and nausea for me. And I know that I'm not the only one. And, here I sit with you a few days removed from this Game 6 loss to Tampa Bay. And, I got to tell you, I did not miss this feeling. I did not miss this feeling the last few years as they were breaking it down and building it up. I did not miss this empty feeling of loss. I did not miss this ride coming to an end so abruptly, but it's part and parcel of being a true fan of this team. For the highs to be high, the lows are low. And this sucks. This absolutely sucks. And I know that all of us had an awful Saturday night. And again, this is, it's going to stick with you for a while because of where they got to and where they had no business getting to, but they did. It's a necessary evil. I'd rather feel pain than nothing at all. So it sucks, but we're here. I wouldn't trade it away. They ended up 6 wins short. 6 wins short, just as they did in 2012. And, honestly, I feel a lot of 2012 vibes from this year. So many correlations. The team overachieving. They won the President's Trophy in 2012. They had comeback series wins against Ottawa and Washington that year. And then they just kind of flamed out in the third round because they just played too much hockey to get there. And I'm sure, as we'll look back on this year, the way we look back on all the other years that they've failed to walk away with the championship, we'll remember the spots and moments that are awesome and the ones that will haunt us. And frankly, I can think of the ones that will haunt us very quickly. I think of Barclay Goodrow hitting the post in Game 3 with a chance to put that team away. I think of Ryan Strome missing a wide open net with nobody in the zip code of him in the crease in Game 5. The last 4 goals of this series, I'm sure they're going to haunt Igor Shesterkin all summer because they keep replaying in my head. Such a great year for him, and he gets beat on 2 seeing eye point shots in Game 5, and this weird shot from the circle from Stamkos, and then a puck off Stamkos' leg 21 seconds after they miraculously tied the game. It's just brutal. But the ride has ended. The non-hockey portion of the season will commence shortly, and kind of already has. Rangers signing Kravtsov to an extension the day after. That's not tonight's conversation, though. Tonight is about looking back, closing the door on the season, its ups and downs, and the twists and turns that have come to the defeat that we have. Before I bring on Hank, who I know is backstage, who looks very different without his playoff beard. I mean, really different. If you've seen him before, you're not gonna, it is him, I can tell, but you know. So what went wrong? Well, a few things clearly went wrong. I was on Blue Shirt Underground with Jim and Eddie. Wonderful guys, amazing content. Please make sure that you check them out. Love those guys. Phenomenal. I said that the Rangers could not get into multiple elimination games against Tampa the way that they did against Pittsburgh and Carolina because the Tampa Bay Lightning are professional winners and they know how to close. Mariano Rivera in the 9th, they know how to put the knife to your throat and end you when they have you down. The Rangers have felt that knife now, and I hope that's one thing that they learned is why you need to put a team away when you have them. But really, in my opinion, and I want to hear from you guys as well, the comments are coming up. I promise I will get to all of them. This comes down to a very simple issue that we have been talking about on this show all year. The Rangers are just not good at 5-on-5. And when you are that reliant on your power play, if you don't get power plays, that is a problem. And in the playoffs, we can complain all we want to, and rightfully so in many cases. The officiating was not exactly pro-Ranger. Let's just put it that way. But they let a lot more go in the postseason. So when the power play stopped coming, if that's your bread and butter, and I need to change his comment on the bottom because clearly it's not the season replay. If you rely that much on your power play for your offense and the power play dries up because you don't get them, that's going to be a problem. Igor Shesterkin was magnificent in these postseason games. -2, games 3 and 4 in Pittsburgh. Other than that, magnificent. But they rely on him too much. He's only human. Those last 4 goals I think he just ran out of gas. And I think the whole team ran out of gas. They played 20 games in 40 nights. It's just nuclear war hockey in the postseason. And then injuries on top of injuries. And these guys are just warriors. Ryan Lindgren came back, just came back repeatedly off the mat in the playoffs. You thought he was done, and he just comes right back. It's like Barney. What's his name? The drunk in The Simpsons. He's back in the bar. You can never get rid of him. He's there. They just ran into a machine too strong that knows how to win, and more importantly, knows how to beat you when they have you down. Very opportunistic, and they don't miss. The Rangers need to not get into these marathon series early on because they had nothing left. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. We'll be taking some time to go over the roster and the free agents and who'll be back and who won't and why. But all in all, they fell short. They fell painfully short. The future was so bright. We have all summer to talk about that. And I hope that you'll join me as we fill it up again for next year, where it's going to be very interesting how this team plays with real, legitimate expectations on their shoulders. They won't sneak up on anybody next year. That is for sure. But as much as this feeling sucks, the idea that we are 1,587 days since this letter was sent out and this team went into a full rebuild is wild. Look at how far and how quickly they went from public acknowledgement of tearing the whole damn thing down to reaching 6 wins short of a championship. There are teams who go decades without reaching the third round. And as wild as it sounds, the Rangers just did it 7 years apart. They contended, destructed, rebuilt, and contended again before some teams even sniff a playoff berth in a league where half the teams get in. When you're in it, you may not appreciate the body of work. We'll get into it over the summer. There is so much to be excited about. But again, it is a natural feeling to be sad and upset right now. I'm not over it. I won't be over it for a while. That's just me. That's just how I'm wired. Maybe you're wired differently. I'm not saying you're right or you're wrong, but this is going to be a long. So, I mean, as I said, the longest off seasons are really the shortest off seasons. I want to bring on Hank and Dichter. Now, Hank, if I recall correctly, as I changed the background here, because I don't know how to use my own computer. That's not it.
There we go.
That wasn't it either.
Oh, all good.
I'm trying to figure it. Whatever. I'll figure it out. You went to Game 6?
Yes, I did. I last minute spontaneously decided.
That's what I wanted. Go ahead.
Oh, there we go.
That's what I wanted.
Last minute, I was contemplating it, and then I just decided, you know what? Screw it. You never know. They're either gonna get eliminated. It's playoff hockey. I've been to Tampa before for regular season games, so then I just said, you know what? Fuck it. Flew down there. I was hoping to meet up with Garth before Game 6, but unfortunately, Garth wasn't feeling too well. I understand why he couldn't make it. So Garth, shout out to Garth if you're watching this. Congratulations on your Lightning. Good luck to you on your attempt in winning a third cup in a row, and also hope you're feeling better because I know you've been really under the weather lately. So
I reached out to him too, so he wanted to pop on. So hope you feel better, bud.
Yeah, no, I tried to talk to him earlier and do a recording, but I ended up doing one with Tom that you'll probably be seeing tomorrow morning, and our opinions might be a little similar and a little different. But yeah, the atmosphere in Florida, definitely different than the last time I went to that arena, because last time I was there in the middle of Yankee spring training. So I just so happened to be lucky to catch the Rangers on a road trip.
Yeah.
And then this time around, I already knew what my plan was and saw a scattered amount of Ranger fans, but like probably not as many Ranger fans there as like during the 2 regular season games I went to. But at the very least, you knew we weren't going to just like not show up, because you know how Rangers fans are when traveling. I still enjoyed myself there, but by the end of the day, I don't know if I was feeling the same way. I just had a long, sad walk back to my hotel. I'm like, I got chirped at a lot, but you know, it is what it is. And I was actually surprised that there was some Lightning fan like telling me, hey, you guys got to do the squad next year. So I guess that kind of meant something, but like, I'm still pretty sad about it, to be honest with you, because like it's June 14th and I keep expecting I I keep wondering when I'm going to wake up and just go take my train to the garden. Oh, well, actually, not take my train to the garden. I would take my train to Grand Central and either subway or walk to the garden. But like the fact that it's not happening, it's like, damn, even though the Yankees are doing well right now, it doesn't make me feel any better. I'm sorry, but like that's how it is.
I bleed this. I mean, this is, don't get me wrong. I have the game on. I actually have a bet on them tonight. I really hope they win by 2 runs. But anyway, this is me.
Stanford fool you, and don't let my Jeter jersey in the background. You can tell from the background I bleed blue.
Anybody who knows me knows how deep this team runs, and it sucks. Like, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and like I'm not happy. I am upset, and it's funny because like fans of other teams will try to needle me, and I'm like, believe me, I couldn't care less what you have to say about anything. Like your opinion is of no value to me. Not you, them. So like you can say whatever you want to it. Literally, I'm not paying any attention to it. So say what you want. Get a billboard outside my house. I don't even care. It matters not. The fact that they lost is what hurts.
Yes.
The fact that they got this far is what hurts. And I talked in my opening about the correlations to 2012, and I think back to that Devil series when it was like working its way, like calendar wise, that like Game 6 was a day of Game 6 against the Devils in '94.
I remember.
And then you're like, could it be? And then you let yourself fall into that Game 7 against Tampa on June 14th. They're not going to lose that game.
And I remember when the Rangers tied that series on May 25th, I'm like, oh my gosh, we got this. We're going to win. And then fucking Adam Henry, less than a minute at a time. Yeah, that I still get PTSD thinking about that series. Like, and don't get me wrong, I have fond memories of those years too, but I'm like you, it's bittersweet because ultimately, I'm not going to say if you're a Ranger fan, you're watching, you know where I'm going with this.
There were moments, again, because of how resilient they were, like, we're not going to forget this run. This was a very fun, absolutely excruciating at times run that they were dead multiple occasions and the body got, this to clear and it came back. They were dead against Pittsburgh 3 times. 3 times they were dead against Pittsburgh and they came back. Against Carolina. And again, you don't think they could beat Carolina. What do you care? Like, what the hell is my opinion think? I hope I'm wrong. I don't think they were going to beat Carolina, but they did. Awesome. If they were going to beat Tampa, they didn't. Okay. But if you look back specifically at this series, to me, they lost it in Game 5. They lost it in Game 5 because I never thought they were going to sweep this team because that's just not realistic, right? So people point to Game 3 and say you let them off the hook. I see that. I'm not disputing it. I don't think that's where they lost because all they had to do was win 1 game at home and you guarantee a 7th game in your building on the anniversary of your championship. So I don't look at Game 3 as to where they lost the series because they were never going to sweep them. To me, it's Game 5 where the weirdest of weird goals got through him. And Ryan Strome missed a wide open net. And frankly, I said I wasn't going to get into this tonight. Ryan Strome needs to be shot into the sun. I don't want to see that guy anywhere near this. I'm done. I am done. So I don't want to hear anything about him in the contract. God forbid, I will be livid. That's weeks from now. I had to get that out. Where are you on it?
Yeah, no. Tom and I's opinions on this were a little bit different. Like, I'm pissed at Strome too. Don't get me wrong. Before you come out with your pitchfork and try to criticize me, look, I agree. He should have gotten that goal. But at the same time, I still have sympathy for the guy because at the end of the day, he was clearly playing hurt. Like, the guy, he just kept getting hurt. He bounced back. He was on the ice. And look, you look at Gallant's press conference, he'll tell you that he probably shouldn't have played Strome in Game 6. But at the end of the day, oh my gosh, I should have closed my window. Sorry about that. I guess they're pretty upset with me too. But in any event, no, yeah, I would say Game 5 was definitely the turning point. But if you really look at in between the lines in that game, besides the fact that he missed that, if Ryan Lindgren is the only player that can get a goal for you and you look dead, I think that also kind of says something. And not to mention, I think another thing that no one really talked about. So a lot of people are saying that Game 3 was where the series changed, which I'll agree to disagree to a certain extent. I mean, look, the Trouba taking that penalty during the 4-minute power play was obviously not ideal. I'll say that. But if you really look back at that series, I think the end of game 2, in hindsight, may have been a warning sign because Tampa scores that goal. It becomes 3-2. There's 2 minutes left. And, the Rangers pretty much had to hold on for dear life just to take the 2-0 series lead down to Florida. And, while I was relieved that they won that game, there was a part of me when I left MSG that night thinking, okay, they fought back. You got to be careful of these guys going to Tampa. And sure enough, even when the Rangers were up 2-0, I'm going to be honest, I never felt comfortable when they were up 2-0 because I didn't think they were playing their best hockey. Now, granted, when it was 2-1 going to third, you obviously had hope with Igor as your goalie. But at the end of the day, Goodrow missing it, the penalty, and then the fluky goal by Palat, it was such a bad omen. And look, I'm not saying you're wrong about game 5, but still, such a brutal series to lose. And again, I'm still bitter and disappointed, but when that goes away, who knows? But
and you know what else too? I bring up Eileen's comment. Eileen's awesome. Eileen sits with us in section 115. I got a chance to go to game 7 against Pittsburgh with her, Scott Spector, his daughter Abby. I mean, it's a nice group that we have there, and her comment here is great. So, I had a blast, even though I'm sad. I got my buddy to watch games, which she's never done before, referring to her daughter. Looking forward to the fall, but my cat could have made the shot that Strome missed. And no, Eileen's great. And
oh, that's great.
I talk about teams of destiny and things like that. And obviously, Rod passed away. And Emil Francis passed away. And for those who remember the show from the onset, Eileen's husband, Phil, who was in our section with us, passed away early, from COVID back in March of 2020. And you kind of start thinking maybe, could they do it for him? And it's I tell her every time I see her, I still hear him when he's there. I miss him at games. And,
no, I totally get that. I have a family friend who passed away years ago. He was one of the biggest Ranger fans you would ever meet. And he used to sit not too far from where I usually sit. And I'm still in touch with his daughter. She's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. She's also a hardcore Ranger fan. In fact, you think I have a good memory about the Rangers, talk to her. She probably beats me in my honest opinion. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. But in any event, yeah, I can totally relate to you. And I can totally relate to Eileen. I actually got a few friends into the Rangers this year that I hadn't previously watched hockey. So that's probably one reason why this season will mean a lot to me going forward, even though the ending sucks.
I'm going to bring Peter on in the background, who I haven't talked to in a long time. Actually, it was the 3 of us did a show together.
Mm-hmm.
So many fans. Now, again, I live in South Jersey, right? So many of the Flyers fans, I really hate that I'm rooting for your team right now, but they have likable players. I like the fact that they're playing young kids. I'm like, oh, really? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I have to root against them against Pittsburgh. Had to. Now is whatever. Okay. If you listen, you want to borrow a jersey? I got 60 of them. You want to borrow them? You want to change? You want to make a smart decision first time in your life? Peter, my brother, how are you, man?
Good. How are you? No, well, good, I guess.
It is
what it is, but good season.
What do you think? Comments are coming in here as far as when they thought they lost. I just saw the comment from Anthony Formosa. Where was that comment? There's so many here. He said game 5. He says game 3 they gave Tampa life. Up 2 goals game 3. You can't allow them to win that game. Winning game 3 puts you up 3-1 to go. But again, the reason that I don't say that was the turning point was because did you really think they were going to ever be up 3-0 in Tampa Bay Lightning? No. So they were going to get a pushback. All they had to do was win game 5 at home, and they had it, and they lost it. And to me, that's where everything kind of fell apart.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what your friend said. Pretty much, nobody expected them to sweep. Yes. We're up 2-0. Yes. They tie it. Yes. Double minor. You got to capitalize. You can't just piss it away. 1. 2, game 5. Like you said. I mean, but these are things that an experienced team like Tampa, I told my friend, I said, the longer the series goes, the harder it's going to be to beat them because they're going to get better and they know how to close out a series, period. They're the 2-time champs. The Rangers could have done better. Yes. Strome Never mind the open net. To me, Strom, I love Strom. I love his heart. He's got leadership qualities, but Panarin is the center of that second line from the wing. You need a center that can score goals or a right winger, my opinion. The center of that line is Panarin, really, to me, even though he's a winger, but he's the center of that line. So I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, but
Well, I mean, we're going to get into the offseason probably in a week or two, because again, the draft I think is right after 4th of July, and then free agency comes right thereafter. It's a compressed offseason because of the way the schedule is, and then it'll pick back up in normal in the fall. I don't disagree with anything that you're saying. I mean, again, could you have won game 4? Because they played a terrible game 4. They played a terrible game 5. It's at some point, what ended up happening again to me is you suck at 5-on-5, and that's a problem. They need to figure it out in the offseason. But you play too much hockey. Teams that play 7-7 to get to this point, and again, these are not, Wednesday midweek games against Anaheim here. I mean, these were wars against Pittsburgh, and they were wars against Carolina. And that Tampa Bay was rested. Maybe they were a little rusty in games 1 and 2, but they were fine in games 3 through 6, and it showed. What I think you can take away as a positive, if you want to, and the players mostly said this in their interviews, is that the Yankees are safe at second. Is that they were in these games, like they weren't getting blown out by this team. For all the talk of how great Florida was in the President's Trophy, they got killed. They got killed by this team. So, look, again, I'm not going to get off my point by saying losing is losing. Like, this is not a feeling where, like, oh, great. I mean, look, take the season as a positive in and of itself, relatively speaking, that they did lose. So it is what it is. But the way the youth got better in the playoffs, the way that they came through, Filipino learned how to play hockey in the NHL for the first time in about 4 years. But they lost. I mean, that's, we sat here the last two, definitely last season, and just laughed at the Islanders immensely. I know I did, because you got to a certain point and you lost. I'm not going to change. They did not win. So I'm not going to say, oh, great, but who knows at this point? Do you agree with me that they ran out of gas? Do you think that was just a really big factor as to why it ended the way that it did?
I definitely do. The Ranger team that played Tampa was not the same team that played Pittsburgh. They got better. But they ran out of gas because they played too many games. And Tampa, where the rest hurt them at the beginning, it helped them a lot towards the end. That's my opinion. And we didn't capitalize enough. We had the opportunities, and you look at it, how many goals did Tampa score? We played a great series, but just not enough scoring 5-on-5.
Right. No, that's where they lost it. Hank, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think after they lost game 3, again, kind of like Brian, like I was upset and pissed, but you know what? At the same time, I'm like, okay, you're still up 2-1. You still have a chance to bounce back. But then once Tampa won game 4, that was when I was starting to really get hairy and nervous, because even though game 5 was at the Garden, like you alluded to, Peter, I think, you pretty much nailed it on the head. They're an experienced team. They've been there and won that. And, they weren't going to lose. And as you said, like, it was pretty obvious, like, as the series went on, they ran out of gas. And Peter, I don't know if you agree with me, but I could kind of tell, and this might be like 2020 hindsight, but I kind of had that feeling after game 2 that the warning sign was when they ran out of gas. Because as I said, they were up 3-1, gave up that goal with 2 minutes left, and they essentially had to hold on for dear life just to take the 2-game sit-on series lead. So I don't know what your thoughts on. Do you feel the same way, Peter?
I kind of feel the same way. I also feel in that game, the inexperience showed up towards the end, where the experience showed up with the other team.
They're killers. They know how to win. They know how to win. So somebody I saw made a comment on Facebook like, oh, we need someone to beat Tampa for us next year. You can't think like that. You can't think of that. And the cap.
No, we want to beat Tampa next year, actually. I'd rather play Tampa, to be honest with you.
We still owe them for 2015.
We still do. James said it's all about game 3, period. That was a game we should have won, and we may sweep if we win that. That was the dagger. No question about it. No, it would have been. But I just to me, I just don't think you can say, well, because you didn't go up 3-0 on a team that hadn't lost playoff series in 10 straight tries. You know, I disagree with this. I love Carolina. I think they are very good. They're going to be a thorn in our side for the next half decade. They're not better than Tampa. Tampa is a professionally winning hockey team. They win here. Like, they excel at this type of hockey, at playoff hockey, which is so different than the regular season, which is why the Rangers bulked up and they got that grit and everything else, and how much, excuse me, did they miss a Barclay Goodrow, earlier on in the playoffs? So.
Oh yeah, that injury definitely.
Yeah, and Kevin, I think we're on the same page here. Game 5 was the turning point because, again, all you had to do was win your home game, no matter what. You got Game 7 home. Not saying they would have necessarily won it, but I would have taken it. That's all. That is where they lost to me. I can't sit here and be like, oh God, you didn't go up 3-0 on Tampa. I can't think that way.
To compare that for a certain Knick game, that would be like Knicks fans saying they should have won Game 3 in '93 when Charles Smith should have hit a fucking layup in Game 5 of that series. Although, to be fair, they also missed a lot of free throws. But that's a tangent for another day.
A lot got brought up about Panarin. I mentioned this comment before. Now, I don't really have a good answer for this. Like, I'm not sure if he just can't create his own shot in the playoffs. I don't really know. But at the same time, they were a power play team all year. I mean, he still had his points. I mean, he wasn't like he was not producing. So, yeah, when you're paying a guy 11-6, you expect him to do what Ovechkin does and do what Crosby does. I don't know that he's that player.
See, to me, when you bring up Brett, first of all, I think he was hurt. And I know when he got hurt. To me, he got hurt the last game of the regular season against Tampa, when he was doing circles. And you just can't do that. Somebody's going to come and, But if he wasn't hurt, I'm very disappointed in his game. I don't care how many points he scored. It came out at the end of the day to me that he's not a playoff performer. And to be fair, this is the first time I've seen him in the playoffs. I never watched him against Tampa. I don't know how he performed. I never looked at it. But if this is how you're going to be, you got to have, like, you look at Lafreniere, for example. He's the type of player that can become a playoff performer. There are players like Bobby Nystrom and John Tonelli. I know you go back that far, Brian. Okay.
Well, they're a little before my time, but I am aware of them, yes.
Okay. So these are players, the Butch Gorings. These are players that perform to you at playoff time. And you need players like that, like Tampa had. You compare Tampa and Carolina. Yes, Carolina is a good team. Okay, they have good players. But Tampa is a team. Is a complete team that has all the holes covered. We have a few holes that we need to cover on this team. And they know what it takes. They know, and they well coached as well.
Sure.
So,
And that's come up. I got to tell you, for as good of a year as Gallant had, I thought he was very outcoached in this series.
Oh, absolutely.
He didn't have an answer for much. And Frankie brings it up right here, is they understand the benching of Kakko in an elimination game. What I think this is I don't think he had any other idea. I don't think he had a clue what he wanted to do. He did not have an answer. He was trying his best to break a string of bad play, and he didn't know what else to do. And he had to mix up his lineup. So when he mixed up his lineup, he realized, well, I better plan for either for Strome or Kakko. If Strome did not play, Kakko would have. So I think it's he decided that he wanted to get Hunt into the lineup, which again, I'm not saying is right. I'm not. I think it was stupid, but regardless, he made up his mind. And then as soon as Strome said, I can go, Kakko didn't play. Now, it's not as if Kakko was lighting the world on fire, but he was having strong playoffs, all things considered. I thought his board play was fantastic. Couldn't get the puck from him. Like, he was really, that whole kid line was playing well, which is frankly not sustainable if that's a line you intend to keep moving forward, because they really can't be a third line. Again, summer talk. But Frankie, I'm with you. I raised my eyebrow at that. I said, it smelled of desperation to me. I didn't really think there was a good rational reason for it.
Brian, the thing with Kakko, okay, once Kakko learns or gets it how to finish, he's going to take his game to the very next level. Because Kakko, to me, even if he didn't produce, but he eats up minutes in the offensive zone where you can't knock him off the puck. When you're in with a 1-goal lead, he just, he keeps the puck and he eats up minutes, valuable minutes. But he's got to learn. I don't know how he was before we drafted him. Obviously, he had a fantastic tournament, but he's got to learn how to close and score more goals. To me, he's more of a setup guy. I thought he was a scorer when we first got him, but he's not. Or maybe he hasn't figured that out yet. So,
I got my own take regarding the Capo thing. So I'm not going to tell you guys that I like the decision, because I think if you're going to put him there just for the sake of making a switch, then yeah, like Brian, you alluded to, and then you're just desperate. But I do think that Twitter and a lot of the social media is making like the whole situation out to be bigger than it really is. Like, because the idea that Gallant hates on Capo, I think that's ridiculous. Like, if you look at Gallant, like whenever he talks, he goes out of his way and praises like everyone on the team, and not to mention, like, he even said it himself, I want Capo back. I would be disappointed if him and Lafreniere were not part of our top scoring line, and I should expect that next year would be the year that they're going to try to have them keep going. But yeah, with that said, did I like the decision? No, but I think people were making a bigger deal out of it than it really was. And not to mention, some were also saying, oh, well, he didn't tell the guy before the game. Well, he doesn't really tell a lot of his players, like whenever a switch happens during the game. So basically, I'm just saying I'm taking it with a grain of salt. But yeah, I pretty much, as far as your opinion goes on whether it was a good decision or not, no, I think that was bad. But you know what, though? I think hopefully within the next year or two in big games, he can adjust and make better decisions with his lineups going forward in the playoffs.
Well, we're going to break this down ad nauseum over the summer. I don't know what they do, because they have 3 left wings.
Yeah.
So unless somebody's going to the right, they can't be in your top 6. It's just math.
Well, I don't want to jump the gun, guys, but what do you think? Quick question: do you keep the kid line together?
Nope.
For next year?
Nope. I think you need to figure out if Heedle's going to be your 2 center or not, or if he's going to be a center at all. And I think you need to get Lafreniere and Kakko into your top 6. By hook or by crook, you got to do it.
That's what you're going to run into: left wing, right wing. But I don't know why Kreider can't play right wing, because yes, I understand he carries the puck and he's fast, like he carries it. He gets a lot of breakaways where he shifts, digs the goalie and he scores. I don't know why he can't do his job standing in front of the goals and getting, goals from the right wing. I just don't know. I mean, I've never played hockey. I'm a soccer player. But if you're going to move the kids up, you're going to run into situations where we have a logjam at positions, and we need a center. I wish Lafreniere was a center.
Yeah, that's and I made this point too when he was drafted. You got to take the best player.
Yeah, you do. You do absolutely. Yeah.
When they went up there, it wasn't.
Yeah. And I think I love Laffy. I like his game. He's physical. He's got what it takes. It's just, I don't know. You got to see how things work out, what they're going to sign. Are they going to sign Cobb? I think Storm is gone. But as far as Cobb, do you sign Cobb or do you get another center who's out there? Trocheck is out there. I don't know. I just don't know. I wish we can get a scoring center, and you don't want to run into situations where you want to play Bread with Zibanejad. And then what? You're going to kill your second line.
Yeah, I mean they have a lot of decisions to make, and like I said, we're going to break that down for sure. We're going to break it down a lot for the next couple of weeks as far as who they should sign, who they shouldn't. But again, I look at the way that everything ended. I don't know. It was very easy for me to say, like I said months ago, that they'll get to the third round and lose. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I feel real good about that right now. But it was such a great. I mean, I went to 4 games of the Garden. I was 4-0. In case anybody wants to donate tickets to me, I don't lose when I go to playoff games. Well, they never lose that much of the Garden anyway. But
next year maybe you have to join me.
Let me know. Maybe. But yeah, it just sucks because like the sucky part is like they really had no business being there. Like they were dead against Pittsburgh, and Carolina was a better team, and they found a way. And that no quit in New York thing, like that really wasn't like they lived it. It's wild. Like it just.
Let me get this out.
It started to feel like a team of destiny, and that's what hurts. Because point blank, I didn't think they were good enough to beat Carolina. I was not. They were down 2-0. I was not surprised.
They showed a lot of character, man. That was ballsy.
Yeah. I don't know. Well,
but
I would be remiss, guys, if we didn't mention the fact that today is the 28-year anniversary of the last time this team did win a Stanley Cup. In 1994, Rangers win Game 7 at the Garden 3-2 over the Vancouver Canucks to win the first championship in 54 years. As Gary Bettman said, well, New York, after 54 years, your long wait is over, and these memories will live with us forever. And, they said this one will last a lifetime. I didn't take them that seriously when I was 10, but it's starting to feel like, hey, maybe so. Probably my memory, and again, I was only 10 years old, but I remember it vividly. Now, that year is believed by many to be like the best playoffs the NHL ever had. And from a pure drama standpoint, like if I had to live through the Devil series now, I would have a heart attack and die halfway through. I probably wouldn't make it, right? So now, Peter, you of the three of us were the oldest at the time. So
wow, you guys are young, man.
I'm 38, so I was 10 when they won. Hank looks like he's 12 today because he shaved his face. But you,
I'm going to be 26 in a month. My birthday.
I've lived through the Islanders beatings. I mean, it's the Islanders were a tough pill to swallow for like year after year after year, and we had good teams. I don't know if we had like championship caliber team, but we had a season where St. Louis finished 4th, I think, and LA finished third with Marcel Dion and all of them, and we beat both of them, and we lost to the Islanders. That was back then when you used to play the first 16. You know, the brackets were like the first team plays. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's still hard, but the good thing about it is, Brian, is yes, and we've talked about it, you and I, when I first started listening to you before the season started, how yeah, we have a better team. We're going to make the playoffs because look at Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh surprised me. They were better than I thought they would. And your buddy said that I forget his name, Noah or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He said, but you guys always say that about Pittsburgh. Yeah, I didn't think Pittsburgh is going to be that good, but I thought the Rangers would make the playoffs. But the good thing is we did a lot more. Yeah, we lost and it hurts, but we did a lot more. It's people say, well, if we don't sign Cup, we lost that number one, but the experience, the kids and everybody else, even the vets, gained from this is worth of number one, even if they don't sign Cup, which I think it's 50-50. I don't think they're going to sign Storm though.
I think Kopp might want to play with Trouba, so that might be a bit of an in.
Yeah.
They have the money to figure it. Again, we're going to go deep into this. They have the money to do it. They have the money this year. They really don't have.
You have to give you a discount, Brian.
But that's the thing. Like you said, right? Some of these players that have been around the league and haven't won anything, maybe like, you know what? Like, we have a shot here. You know, I feel like we're replaying this movie because they went basically from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers when they went from Hank to Igor. And they have a window. They have a really, really solid window here because he's still, you know, I was not in love with his contract, not at the money, but I wanted it to be longer because then he's 30 years old, wants to get a long deal, then you're locked in for a long time again. But he's only going to get better. I mean, that is such an advantage to have. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they get real aggressive this offseason, next offseason to try to win one before the Mikas and the Kreiders and the Panarins are like 33. So like, do they do everything they can to compress it into like this 3 or 4 year window? Maybe. And maybe that makes sense to an extent. They have a lot of decisions to make. And it is not a drama-free offseason by any stretch. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. There's a couple of youngsters that I don't feel are ready yet. Othman, Cooley, maybe. You know, you and I don't know if you remember, Brian, you and I, like, what the fuck are they doing? Othman, another left winger?
Yeah.
But
I know.
When there were like two centers sitting and they picked him, and that was,
I remember.
We were wrong, and that was good.
Well, to an extent. Now, again, just because
to an extent, we still don't know.
Mike Rupp said as well, like, these guys might not all play here, right? So like, when you start talking about the Nils Lundqvists of the world and the Othmans and the Coolies and other guys, you know, they might become packages to help your roster go try to win something right now. I mean, they know they need a center badly, right? The problem becomes if you re-sign Kopp, right? So I don't know. Again, we have lots to talk about this, but like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if Krasnov's going to play, if he's going to get shipped somewhere. He's still an asset and he's signed. So that's important. At some point, you got to get your top 6 right wings figured out, and Kakko needs to be one of them. And the question about Vetrano, what is it? I just don't know what to expect from a guy like him, and I think he's going to want too much money. He's the kind of contract I don't want to give somebody, because I feel as though you're buying so high. This is the best he ever did. I mean, like, this is he was bottom 6 fodder until he was given a shot.
But that's what we know, Brian.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I always go to, like, when discussing players, I'm like, well, I haven't watched them enough. Yeah, you hear things about players that are good. Yeah, but it's like, I got to see him play every day to know. He showed me something, but to me, he's a third-line player.
Right. And that's the thing. I don't – they have so many, like, second, third-line guys. I mean, think of the fact of They went out and they added a Tyler Mott to this team. They added a Cop to this team. They added Vetrano. That's because they didn't have Sammy Blais all year, who will be back next year, I'm assume. Like you, and then guys that make their way up. So, but I think, and it's being discussed here, they need to get Patrick Nemeth off of the planet.
Oh yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that, but they have to. They have to find a way to get rid of him.
Might be a buyout, and again, you know what?
Maybe a buyout, and it wouldn't be that bad because his salary is not that big.
No, it's not anywhere close to what they've dealt with in the past.
Yeah.
And again, the bulk of their buyouts really end after this upcoming season. So
yeah,
what they really need to hope is that the cap just goes up, because like they're really
yeah. But I tell you one,
when you're paying Panarin that money and Trouba that money, like you're doing that because you think the cap's going to go up. It's like buying a house, and because you're locking that price in. Again, Trouba's not an $8 million player.
No, he's not.
He might be if the cap was $95 million, not at 81.
I like him a lot, and I've criticized them a lot because he was terrible the first season. Mm-hmm. But as much as I like him now, he's still not worth that much.
No. And
but one thing I was going to point out, Brian, and what do you guys think? I think you sign Mott, and I'm very excited. We can have the best fourth line in the league with Mott, Gaudreau, and Sammy Blais.
Be a pretty expensive fourth line.
Yes.
That's the problem.
I mean, Sammy Blais, you can move up to the third line as well. Yeah. But really, to me, as good as Gaudreau is, and as much as I like him, to me, he's a fourth line player because he doesn't have that much offense. Yeah, we pay him a lot, but to get the most out of him, he's a fourth line player where you can use him at third, double shift him, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I like Mott a lot. I like what he brings. That you need those kind of players.
Oh, Mott. Yeah. Mott's been one of our unsung heroes now.
And if we can get him for cheap.
But that's the thing. Like, he was out in Vancouver, they never got close to anything. Like, they kind of got to think about, like, where am I going to go? What's the fit going to be like? Am I going to get traded somewhere else? I have a spot on this team. This team just went to the third round, the best goalie in the world. So,
and he's got good friends on the team.
Yeah, it's something. So. For them to be successful, they need to be a team where people take less money to go to. Not entirely unlike Toronto, where, like, not necessarily I want to get like Joe Thornton or Jason Spezza or anything of that like that. Mark Giordano just took like no money to stay there. Yeah. Like, at some point you've made enough money, you just want to win. Well, that's what it is with Mark Giordano. With somebody like Mott, where he hasn't made a lot of money, and he's like, what, 27? It's like, I got to make some money, Yeah. That's the thing. So, well, one thing also, before we start wrapping up, a year ago today, actually, Gerard Gallant was also hired. So, not a bad first year for the guy behind the bench. Way better than David Quinn. Yeah.
He's done more in 1 year than most of our coaches have done, like, in franchise history.
Listen, see, here's your Mike Keenan had 1 year here, okay?
Well, yeah, no, not
1 year,
Keenan, but like most of them.
No, I agree. I agree.
But guys, what do you think about? I saw something that the Oilers might buy Cassian out. If they do, you can get Cassian for $1 million. For 2 years, like Carolina did with Tony. I mean, he's a big player. You can get him for cheap. It's always good to find those guys that are being bought out where you can have him for cheap for a couple of years.
But it's like musical chairs. You still got to get a roster of 12 forwards out there. Like, then it's like, what do you do? That's the thing. Like, we can say, we really want to upgrade the roster. Yeah. But who are you willing to? What spot? Whose spots?
Exactly. Right? If you sign Mott and you have Revo, where is he going to play?
I still think they would love JT Miller.
Yeah, but JT Miller, how much is he going to cost?
He's got 1 year left, I think, at 5 something. What I'm saying is, I think that but again, JT Miller's probably cost you Hedl plus, and then what do you start doing? And it's like, the problem you run into is because they haven't really drafted centers, is like Hedo really needs to pan out, or you got to go find a center. Like the only reason Ryan Strome was a second line center was by default.
Yeah.
Like it was like he earned that spot. I mean, he played into it, but that guy was a gift for Ryan Spooner. Like it wasn't like they went out and like got like
absolutely. We lucked out with that.
Yeah.
Do you think Hero can play with Panarin?
I don't know. I don't know if Hedo's long term is center.
I don't know.
And then you have too many wings.
Yeah.
So.
And then he can't win faceoffs either.
Nobody can win faceoffs. But you know what? It didn't matter for Tampa, so maybe I don't care as much. Maybe I don't care as much.
Yeah.
So as far as next show, sometime probably the week of the 27th, because again, the draft's going to come up, free agency is going to come up. Hopefully by then, the Stanley Cup Finals will be over, and we can. I don't know. Do you have a rooting interest at all? I don't even care. No. I honestly don't even care.
No,
I don't care.
Look, if Tampa wins, it's a historic moment, a three-peat, and we can no longer say that the Icelanders, or those whatever those losing from Lyon you want to call them, or the last three-peat winner. But if Colorado wins, hey, great, they finally got over the hump.
Boris Shore is very aggressive because, again, he went right behind Lafreniere. I mean, that would cost you a ton to go get that guy. A ton to go get him. I don't know that LA. I don't think is in the.
Want that guy, or am I making that up?
Say what?
Didn't you want Quentin Byfield, or am I making that up?
I would love him at 2.
No, but I mean, didn't you want him originally during the draft, or was that?
I won $1,000 that night because I said he'd be the second overall pick because that got leaked.
Ah, got it.
And DraftKings was taking bets. I'm like, the Kings podcast just said they're taking Byfield. Okay, cool. 1,000. That was great. I don't know. I don't think LA is really shopping him. I know Boris says there's rumors they might be. I don't know. Frankie wants to brink it for his own reasons. I don't disagree. Again, these things cost you a lot of money and talent. So be careful what you wish for.
Yes.
Before you start shopping, be careful what you wish for.
Yes.
Robert said he wants JT Miller back so bad. So we'll keep an eye on the BlueTruth page. I'll be posting. We're going to have the next. And really, as we close this season, I just want to thank you guys. This was the first year of the show. We did 19 episodes. We would have done more if I wasn't taking my CFP, which I passed. Thank you very much. But hopefully we do more of them off season into next year where I don't have a lot less massive impositions on my time.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun like that this was like the first year. Like it was so much fun that like this is the year that we had. I mean, again, this feeling is a necessary evil because you wouldn't want to have it any other way. You wouldn't want to not be upset. Because that tells you that finally when they do actually do something, it won't mean as much to you. So I've always believed that. For the highs to be high, the lows have to be low. This is low. It sucks. There's things there's positive you can take from it, but they lost. So we'll see, what next year comes. But thank you, Peter. Thank you, Hank, for taking some time with us.
Thank you, guys. Good seeing you again.
Absolutely. My pleasure is all on this side of the table. Again, Hank, plug your stuff. Review, preview. What else are you doing lately?
Yes. So obviously, now that we're in baseball season, you can catch me every Thursday nights at 7 on Hitting for the Cycle. So obviously, if you couldn't tell by the background of my room, besides the Rangers, I am also a hardcore Yankee fan. In fact, I even got my Stan Sports Bar shirt. And I not only cover the Yankees, I pretty much cover every big news in baseball. And yeah, even that team in Queens called the Mets. I cover them too. But
I heard they're okay this year.
Yeah, they're going to crash and burn soon. You watch. But in any event, you catch me there every Thursday night at 7. Tomorrow night, I am actually going to be joining Tom, Sam, and Kyle Russo. We are going to be doing an off-season live stream for Big Blue Avenue. You can catch me on that during the football seasons. That's also usually on at 7, but obviously that's football season. I'm talking about like tomorrow, obviously. But Wednesday, Big Blue Avenue and Hitting for the Cycle. And of course, you can also catch me on Game On every Tuesdays at 3 p.m., where that is a show that I record with my good buddy, Johnny Montalbano. That's another weekly show. And Brian, fun fact, was on that show as well. So definitely catch us there. It's a lot of fun. And
I think I picked the Rangers to beat Carolina on that because I was a total homer when I said that.
I don't remember that. I think you picked us to beat Pittsburgh, but in any event, it was a lot of fun having you on that show. And yeah, I've done. Brian's been appearing on some shows that I've done as well. So that's pretty much where you can find me. And if you want to find me on Twitter, Ranger Hanky 96.
Talking Rangers hockey is like we've been live for about an hour and a couple minutes. It's been 5 minutes, guys. What are you talking about? Like this hasn't been like just flew right through. But it's good for me. It's good for me to get my feelings out, to let it out, let it flow through me, and try to get to the other side.
Therapeutic.
Because it sucks. I don't know.
It still sucks and stinks.
It sucks because like they got so close. Like,
we got so close.
They had no business being there. I can't get like I'm not. They should have lost to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the thing is, Brian, we might not get there with a better team. Get this far is what I mean.
True. That's
it's what I mean. You know,
there are no guarantees. You don't just like start the game over and
that's
hit
the
reset
thing.
and you end up here. So no, you're absolutely right. So. All right, guys. Pleasure.
Right.
Thank you so much for jumping on. And again, keep your eye out on the BlueTruth page. We'll be doing more and more stuff over the off season. Hope you will join. To all you who watched, thank you so much. Like, follow, subscribe. Let's get ready for the off season. September.
Good job. Well done.
Take care.
All right.